Firstly, on Saurabh Netravalkar, there's an important thing that I want to call out, right? So he's like this typical grounded Indian engineering student who has been a successful bowler. Some would even say the best that his country has ever produced. And he has now taken wickets of some of the greatest, all-time greatest batsmen also. And is also known for his smartness outside of the cricket field. And he has given rise to a bunch of memes and content around this World Cup. But why are we talking about R. Ashwin right now?
TV umpire to director, we have a player review. Can we rock and roll, please?
Hello and welcome to Bits and Pieces. This is episode 128, and as a sports lover, these last 2 weeks have probably been absolutely blockbuster. We've had Formula One in Canada, we've had French Open, the Euros have kicked off this week, NBA is going into its finals, Stanley Cup is in its playoffs, and if you're also followers of this other game, the World Cup is happening in cricket. We did our last episode right after the India-Pakistan game, and we thought that was one of the craziest games of this edition. But then this week, we'll beg to differ in terms of the games we've had. And here to talk about that, let us go through our panel. I remember this anecdote from way back. It's about Kishore Kumar. Where he said that back in the day they would shoot so many movies in a single day, right? So they would be going from set to set. There'll be like sometimes even 3 or 4 different movies in a single day, and often at times even the co-stars would be the same. So they'd all travel in the same car from Mehboob Studios to another studio and so on. And they would often mix up their lines because they would like call each other by characters from the other movie. And it used to be a huge mangled mess. However, we don't have that anymore, but we do have a podcast equivalent of that. This gentleman is being part of so many podcasts. So it's hard to tell. Is he on Leftover Lasagna? Is he on Intermission? Is he on Bits and Pieces? Is he on Heads and Tails? Is he on the next podcast that is yet to start, that he's brewing in his head? Welcome, Nitin Sundar. Just to let you know, we are on Bits and Pieces, the friendliest cricket podcast. This is episode 128.
Thank you so much, Max. When you spoke about Mehboob Studio, I thought you were making fun of my man boobs, but no, thanks for being more decent than that. I also wanted to express my protest and reservations against the fact that you spoke about all these great sporting events, Stanley Cup, Laurel and Hardy Cup, something and all. Who's going to count T20 Blast, Macha? It has also been going on. What is this?
We will talk about Joe Root 6 as well. We should do that. Yes, so my apologies. Our next panelist is the ever wise and always has the right things to say, unlike me. Think of us at Bits and Pieces like a kite, right? We'll go where the wind takes us. We'll go where the discussions take us. We're always looking to go from one outrage to the other, or as they would say in the hinterlands, Kalesh. This gentleman, is like that thread or the string that's holding the kite and making sure that we don't kind of flutter away into the winds of nowhere. Always keeping us on point, ensuring that this podcast every week has availability, making sure doing a roll call, we register for the podcast, we show up. If not, we get wrapped on our knuckles. The whole and soul of making sure this podcast runs every week. The one who makes it all happen, Mo or Hank or Mo Hank as we call it. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you, Max. For a minute I was thoroughly confused whether you were talking about person who pulls it all together, keeps it all together, and because every time all I'm doing in the group is generating Kalesh rather than settling things down. So, so your intro kind of did injustice to my service.
Kalesh.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
Has the joke already written itself that Mohan is checking his mic?
Mike Mohan. From Mike Mohan to Manja Mohan. That is the journey of the great Mohan K. He's of course the thread that is holding together the kite. But the kite analogy works very well for Mohan, also because kite in Tamil, and today is a panel of 4 Tamilians. So kite in Tamil is called pattam, which is also the term for degrees, right? So well-educated people have a lot of kites, a lot of pattams, and our assistant pro vice chancellor, of course, is well-regarded and well-educated. So, Manja Mohan, lead us from darkness to light, please.
Speaking about darkness and light, we have the naked runner from Bondi Beach. If you reached there at like 4:30 in the morning and tracked him on Strava, you would find him chugging along, often in the darkness to avoid all the scrutiny and the attention that he gets. Our resident quizmaster, or as he likes to call it, palate cleanser of the podcast, we have Adi. And fun fact, he often signs garments thrown at him by women folk with the words quizzically yours. So, quizzically ours, Mr. Adi, welcome to the pod.
And yours in cricket today. Thank you, Max. Thanks for the introduction.
This week, I mean, is absolute blockbuster for the World T20. This has been a fabulous week in terms of results. It has been hilarious in sort of some of the games that did not happen and all the media frenzy around the games that could not happen. This reminded me of the tale from the Jataka tales. No, from the Panchatantra, where this guy, buys some seeds or of cabbage or something like that and plants it and goes to sleep. And then wakes up in the morning and then starts beating the hell out of his neighbor's cow because he dreamt that the cabbages would grow and the cow would come and eat all the cabbages, right? So that's how the English media and all has also been this entire week. And it all happened in a very comical way. So we should talk about all of those. But first, let's talk about the USA-India game. That 2 balls by Saurabh Netravalkar were absolutely beautiful. Everyone's talking about how this is the right way to do, including my own parents, who are like, you're sitting and playing some useless backyard cricket. Why don't you do better? From taking my report cards home and getting 92 and saying, no, can do better. Why no centum? Now I have reached the stage where I'm 40 years old, but then I'm getting like, why are you still playing backyard cricket in some stupid league, semi-professional league? Why can't you do better? So life has come a complete full circle, for me at least. What do you guys think about it?
No, it is very fitting that we are recording this on Father's Day also, because this is typical Indian parent behavior. And Saurabh Netravalkar, he was already the hero in the game against Pakistan, even before he came and, got Kohli and Rohit Sharma out. He's that typical Indian kid who, your parents say, first you focus on your studies, go to US, get a good job and all of that. After that, you can focus on things like playing cricket and all, which is exactly what he has done. Went to America as a kid, studied well, got a good job at Oracle, and now here he is getting wickets of Kohli and Rohit Sharma for fun.
He's an absolute poster boy. He's done well for himself, and let's not forget they played the last game without the captain.
Yeah, he had a shoulder injury or something.
Shoulder,
Yeah. The captain's biggest claim to fame, of course, is that he shares many letters in his name with one great Mr. Mohan K. So,
Mohan. They were without the captain who provided the launch pad for much of the blistering opening stands that they put together, and they played phenomenally well. The way they put up that fight was just quite amazing, and it bodes well for sport in that country. I actually think it'll do well with this and the Olympics. Cricket is set to take off beyond the expat community, which is what it is right now. And suddenly, if they're in prominence and some people say, hey, these guys have reached the Group 8 stage. No one expected them to be there. They're there. It's good. Unfortunately, they wedged out Pakistan from that spot, but good on them.
It would have been nice, for the game to be shown on, CBS, PBS, or any of those, the free-to-air channels there, just to get more of a reach, right? I mean, you can at least just play just the US games or something like that, so to create the buzz, because there is some groundswell of support for the US team. They could have just, used that as a springboard to kind of, get more audiences. I think now, for the most part, they're just preaching to the converted. The Desis there anyways are watching it, etc. But, if you're not kind of showing it on free-to-air, it's not going to bring bigger audiences, which was a big thing in the UK too, where I think over the last 5-6 years, they're having this constant thing that should we show more stuff on BBC or have everything behind a paywall on Sky Sports, right? So
yeah, Adi, your point is absolutely valid. Simply because if the base for your resource that plays the game is only expats, and your base for viewership is also only expats, you're not growing the game. So you need to expand that out and open it out a little bit.
we're only focusing on all the Hindustan levers. So we need to kind of, get the Hindustan Unilevers now. Yeah.
I think it was me 2 episodes before where I was ranting about this whole timing and the scheduling of it and all of that, right? One of the funniest things that have happened is that with the games being at 10:30 in the morning, my time, MPTZ, is that it has sparked another complete genre, which I was not expecting at all. So we have the NBA in the evening. The Celtics and the Mavs Dallas are playing in the evenings. And then you have baseball that's also season starting, and it starts around like 2 o'clock or something our time. So this 10 o'clock time is perfect from a gambling perspective. So DraftKings is one of the premier gambling sites, now has cricket on it. So I have degenerates in the office who are now coming up to me and asking for betting advice because now they are betting throughout the day. They can, at 10 o'clock in the morning, they can bet on cricket. At 2 o'clock, they can bet on baseball. And then at 7 o'clock in the evening, they can bet on basketball. So it has helped from that, which I was not expecting it. I was more thinking about it from like, how are people going to go watch the games? How are kids going to come watch the games? If it's 10 in the morning, their parents can't take them to the game. I was thinking more from a, noble point of view. But the bookies are loving it because so DraftKings is putting out odds.
Is it just mainstream odds, Max, like the top scorer, wicket taker, or they've gone a bit funky and
no. It's even lower, right? It's just directly just wins. So it was 80-1 for US on the win, and after the 2 wickets fell, the odds kind of went up. But people were like, "Yeah, I just put money on US. We're gonna beat you guys." Like,
what is this noble? Why do you have such noble thoughts and all? As any IPL fan, you must be knowing that the only reason we follow the IPL is so that we can make our fantasy teams. Why would it be any different with people in the US, right? But we should also know, while lots of people in the US are getting their advice and tips from experts like Max Da Vinci, there are of course other American fans who are following American experts who are explaining these games as they are unfolding. So there was this video that went viral of some American dude explaining how USA versus India proceeded. As you all know, USA in that game scored 110 runs and then India scored 111 for 3 in 18.2 overs. So they won with 10 balls to spare. In the end, it was an easy win. But the way this person reported was that after having beaten Pakistan, USA very nearly pulled off another upset against India.
Wow, did you guys see this? Fresh from beating Pakistan, the USA has lost to India in a thriller in New York. 110 for the home team. India gets the job done by just the one, 111. The home team within one of forcing overtime.
And Max, you were also explaining that, the scores in cricket are something that Americans are finding very tough to understand, and that this basketball style scoring where you just take the number of runs team A made and the number of runs team B made, and whoever has more wins is a simple way to understand. So why don't you defend this hypothesis, and what is it with Americans? Why can't they understand the nuances of scoring in a sport?
No, people can understand nuance. I don't think the people cannot understand nuance in scoring. I mean, people understand tennis scoring, right? So you have games and then sets and then the match. So people can understand. My only thing is that of all the things to shit upon, the lack of people understanding the scoring is the lowest hanging fruit is all I say. I mean, okay, because at first, someone can say, okay, it was 111 to 110 and but then after that, when they start getting some interest in the game and saying, oh, we wanted 111, they did well. And then they slowly understand, okay, well, what does 110 by 8 and 111 by 3 mean? And then they'll slowly understand, okay, and what does 18.1 mean and what does 20 mean? So people will slowly catch on to it. But for a layman, it's okay if it just says 110 to 111 and he thinks it's a close game, so be it. I mean, it doesn't hurt anyone. It's not demeaning the game or it doesn't bring disrepute to anything. I just find that instead of taking the time to say, okay, you know what, good, well, 10 points to Gryffindor, you made an attempt to understand the score. Let me now take you one level higher. People are just shitting over it and saying, oh, you know, you ordered 110 burgers, but only 8 people made those burgers. But we made 111 burgers. Only 3 people made those burgers. So ours is better than yours. Tu janta hai mera baap kaun hai? What nonsense is this?
Did we discuss Sachin trying to play baseball with Ravi Shastri?
No, that we have not. Please go ahead. Explain it.
So apparently, before the India-Pakistan game, so Sachin is there in his capacity as the brand ambassador for DP World.
Let's not go into questioning on what capacity people like Yuvraj Singh and Sachin Tendulkar are there. Let us just take it as a given.
In all fairness, I can see the DP World is apparently logistics partners, and they, in all fairness, they ferried the pitches from wherever it was grown in Miami all the way to different parts. So at least they've kind of, lived up to the name of being a sponsor of some merit there. So there was this fan engagement area where somewhere in New York where Ravi Shastri was trying to throw the baseball and Tendulkar was swinging the thing. And then after a couple of swings, Sachin hit it out and Shastri said, it's out of the park. That's it. Over. And that's how it... So Shastri had to bring in his hyperbole there.
And ready, it's going at the rate of Costa. Oh, yeah. That's done. It's out of the park. It's gone. It's game over.
It was a very short video, but it was nice to see Tendulkar. He actually has a decent bat swing, actually, come to think of it. Like, even holding it this way.
Surprising, no? It only took us 30 years to figure out that Sachin Tendulkar has a decent bat swing. Yeah, sure.
I know, he was, because his golf swing is not the greatest, apparently. So I thought he's a one-trick pony kind of thing. But anyways.
We alluded to this last week also, right? So this entire World Cup is a conspiracy to teach the Indians how to play baseball. And this is what you're seeing because Tendulkar and Ravi Shastri are playing baseball to show us how that sport works. What you should have had instead is the Babe Ruth. Is Babe Ruth still alive? Whoever plays baseball, I don't know. They should have been playing cricket, right? In front of those fans to show them how that sport is. But that's how it goes. But really, if you think about it, right? If you want to get the Americans to understand a sport, you should not actually take the World Cup to that country. You should take something like the Indian Premier League to that country because that is what the Americans believe is world sport, right? When you have one league that is everything, all teams are from the same country and they participate and they become world champions at the end of it. So IPL should have actually been hosted in the US.
Guys, next month the IPL stepchild is going to start. MLC.
MLC has already started, no?
Isn't it next season. The next season starts on the 5th of July. So,
yeah, but Indian cricketers don't play. It doesn't count. See, not even Saurabh Netravalkar plays the MLC. So how does it even count as a tournament worth following? So even expat Indians don't play.
So in the MLC, Aaron Jones was let go by the Seattle Orcas for his not perform last season.
Not perform.
What has happened? Not perform.
Yes.
Who do they pick instead? Temba Bauma because they look the same.
or Satya Nadella because he owns the team.
But anyways, before we lose more listeners by the minute, let us talk about that West Indies-New Zealand game.
No, one sec. Before you go to West Indies, New Zealand, right? Firstly, on Saurabh Netravalkar, there's an important thing that I want to call out, right? So he's like this typical grounded Indian engineering student who's been a successful bowler. Some would even say the best that his country has ever produced. And he's now taken wickets of some of the greatest, all-time greatest batsmen also. And is also known for his smartness outside of the cricket field. And he has given rise to a bunch of memes and content around this World Cup. But why are we talking about R. Ashwin right now?
Netravalkar also has got a lanyard. Ashwin also has a lanyard. The only thing Netravalkar does not have is a YouTube channel that he's promoting. Right?
But Nitin, you lost me at grounded.
That is subterfuge, classic subterfuge. But this is the sad thing for Ashwin, right? Like that one persona that Ashwin was inhabiting, that has also been taken away from him now because suddenly Saurabh Netravalkar has said, screw your thinking cricketer crowd. I have the true suitor for it. Max, you're about to talk about West Indies versus New Zealand, right? I have lots to say about that match. Because while the timing is very good for you, where you wake up at 10 a.m. and do DraftKings, I have not watched a single ball of New Zealand play in this World Cup. And their World Cup is over. They are going back. When I was sleeping, last night when I went to sleep, it was raining cats and dogs at England versus Namibia. There was no chance of a game happening. I thought, okay, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning to news of England having been knocked out of this World Cup. Maybe a great way to get the Americans to understand the sport is to now arrange a quadrangular tournament between Pakistan, New Zealand, Sri Lanka and England, right? The 4 teams that have been knocked out of the World Cup. But what do I find out when I wake up? Australia nearly somehow actually lost to Namibia but did not. And England have qualified, right, by winning their game. And all these things are happening when I'm sleeping. And some of the greatest games, I was very fortunate to watch the last 3 overs of South Africa versus Nepal. I just happened to be awake. I was driving when I was watching that game. But most of the games, I've actually missed some of the most riveting action in this World Cup. I can't blame the timing for it. I mean, it's good that at least a few games are being held at, timings that are suitable for locals who are not actually watching the matches. But yeah, so it goes. But you tell us about New Zealand versus West Indies because you've actually watched it.
Yes.
How does that New Zealand jersey look on TV, guys? I really wanted to see it, but I never woke up on time to watch it.
Horrible. It really is horrible. I mean, they had a really good jersey and they jumped it for this sort of teal sort of jersey. It's not good. I don't like it. I'm not blaming that for the pathetic show. They've had a really, really bad World Cup campaign. They've been lackluster, just like the jersey. Yeah.
The thing with New Zealand is, right, we said, they're a team of 8 all-rounders and we don't know who they're going to pick. And they pick the right team, they will go through. If they don't pick the right team, they will be struggling to find what the right combination is. And that's what has happened with them. Maybe I thought the Afghanistan game was an aberration because you don't expect to see a team rolled off for giving a margin of 100 runs. Uganda and some of the other teams also have not lost by a 100-run margin. But this one, they started with all the right beats. Bolt starts the first over, gets a wicket, does Bolt things. Southee shows up of all the people. They are 22 for 4, 30 for 5, right? Pooran and everyone we've talked about as being the star of these World Cup, the World Cup is gone. From 30 for 5, and this is where I think, if you look at all the 4 teams that are primed to make the top 4, from 30 for 5, I don't know how many of these teams can even make a score of 160 from there. And West Indies is this crazy freak of nature I'm watching. Like, you have Romario Shepherd at number 8. And that is the only people in the team who cannot bat are Gudakesh Moti. And even Alzari Joseph can, tonk a few. Gudakesh Moti is probably the only number 11 they have. Unlike, some other teams, because we are having 5 number 11s in our team. We're thinking of bringing, Kuldeep and all into the mix. But the way Rutherford played. And this is funny. So my in-laws are here. And my mother-in-law is watching the game. Like, who is this Rutherford guy? He seems to be playing well. Why doesn't he get a chance in the IPL? And it's like, he is in the IPL. He is in KKR. He's benched the entire season in KKR because he's insurance for Andre Russell. And he's playing in the team ahead of Simran, right? And he's keeping Simran out. Yeah.
Oh, Shimran Hetmyer is not in the 11, huh? Why?
He has made the flight. He has got his flight, just so you know. He's showing up at every island.
He doesn't have to die. It's right there. Yeah.
No, you have to go by seaplane from island to island.
Ship. Correct.
So he's showing up at every game. He has the maroon hair going on. But yeah, Shofan Rutherford has been keeping him out of the squad. And there's been a lot of chatter as to why. But that game he really showed. And those last 2 overs. And this is where I think I have a problem with. Everything in New Zealand, I can say, okay, you know what? They did well. They batted poorly. Williamson is not in form, blah, 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 blah. But one thing you don't associate with Williamson, at least, is captaincy. You're like, okay, he's always very good captain, knows to know the right things and astute guy.
You don't associate bad captaincy with him.
That's what
you don't associate bad captaincy with him. And that was completely gone. He had the world's greatest fast bowler, Darrell Mitchell, bowling the 18th over. And then Santner bowling 19th and the 20th. And they leaked 38 runs in those 2 overs. And that's what changed the game for them.
Yeah, so why did that happen though? Were they bowling their faster bowlers earlier to try and dismiss West Indies and then that did not happen? Because Bolt, Southee, Ferguson have all bowled out. Just that they finished their overs earlier. And it was Phillips and Santner.
Jimmy Neesham also bowled out. And so then they had Phillips, Santner and Mitchell bowling the 4, but they were bowling towards the end. So
Which makes sense, right? Because they've got the first 8 wickets cheaply or whatever, and they're trying to finish off the
I want
innings.
to say something here. Adi wasn't in the last 3 podcasts and hasn't heard a single podcast. That's okay. That it can be forgiven. Mayur was in the podcast where we discussed the power of West Indies, and now he's acting as if we haven't even discussed this.
No, we have. I was the one in the pre-episode which said that the West Indies team is the most dangerous looking team of all teams in the thing. But the way they showed it is what.
Right, exactly. The only thing I'm saying is that the fact that they recovered from that precarious, or seemingly precarious position of 30 for 5. The thing is, in a T20, you can actually recover if you got the
firepower,
the firepower and the ability. You can always recover. You can play an over or two, whack your way out of trouble, and that's exactly what West Indies did. They did it amazingly well. It's not at all surprising what they've done, especially given that New Zealand thought that they could bowl West Indies out, and they finished all their key bowlers before the 17th over. The batting of New Zealand was again, amazing to see how they approached they knew exactly what the ask was. They fluffed it. They absolutely screwed it up.
End of an era for this lineup of New Zealand, because I was reading that there are only 3 players who are under 30 in the current squad. And Mark Chapman is also going to reach the 30 landmark a few days after the World Cup finishes. So I think it's pretty much the end of this team. I think definitely not the next T20 World Cup, and clearly not the next 50-over World Cup. But I'm not sure what's going to happen to them in their transition phase.
See, the beauty with New Zealand is Trent Bolt actually retired from New Zealand cricket like some 4 years back or something. And after that, he has played 3 World Cups for them. Tim Southee ceased to be a concept apart from that trivia question, who has hit most sixes in Test cricket, right? There was no other reason for Tim Southee to exist, but he's still playing World Cups for New Zealand. So it is very possible, and now lots of New Zealanders play for Chennai Super Kings in the IPL also. So they've got that philosophy. These people might never stop playing. The same 3 guys, right? Williamson, Southee and Bolt might play another 5 World Cups before you even realize that, these guys are still there and they play.
We've already established there are only about 30 cricketers and about 5 million sheep to choose from in New Zealand.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
And Jimmy Anderson also is retired, so he can give advice on how to cryogenically, get your bowling to continue for another 2 decades. So yeah, he's a new gun for hire for specialist advice.
Cryogenically and all, we don't know, but crying nicely and losing all the time, I think New Zealand is going to accomplish.
Quick question before we move to the next part. Who is the top scorer and who is the top wicket taker in the cup so far? In the world. Top scorer and the top wicket taker.
Fazal Farooqui.
And
is what?
Wicket.
Is a wicket taker, you're saying? Okay.
Top scorer in this World Cup would be
extras.
No.
No clue.
Is another person from Afghanistan.
Gurbaz.
Oh, so top here we have, and this was the prediction all along, West Indies Afghanistan final. West Indies are just showing they're gun team. They're an absolute gun team. I mean, in the prediction we said England is also a gun team, but England has done some strange things so far. But the Afghanistan team is something else here. Absolutely.
We are likely going to have West Indies, England, South Africa, and
we'll explain Super 8s to you. Wait.
But on
Tirupati
the teams which played the US leg and now have to play in West Indies, they are at a massive disadvantage, right? Because they were playing on one set of pitches which has no resemblance to the second half of the tournament. And look at Australia and all those teams, or West Indies, they've only been playing there. So they are like in the box seat to really, hone in on the advantage that they've had.
No, but it's also panned out for them, right? For the teams that played in the US. Because the first half of the tournament, they played on these extremely tacky wickets at New York, Nassau County. Second half, they've basically had a holiday. Because in Florida, they have just been sitting and staring at rain. Which, by the way, we should again credit the ICC for taking the World Cup to USA. There are 2 concepts in cricket, right? If you want to understand cricket, you need to understand 2 things. The first thing is, most of the sport is generally standing around and watching where nothing is going on. The second thing about the sport is when it is raining and actually there is nothing to do and you're sitting outside and watching and nothing is going on. We have given the Americans a great taste of both of these things. The only things we have not given them a taste of is, the six hitting, which is what T20 cricket is known for. Unfortunately, that part allowed out of syllabus. I'm still trying to understand how you have a stadium in the US, in Florida, where the water is not draining and, it's just inundated whenever there's a little bit of rain and they're not able to host any games. But that is the advantage for teams like India, which, are getting a lot of rest now. And they'll go to West Indies very fresh with their batteries fully recharged. While those teams are all like struggling, struggling to beat minnows. South Africa struggled to beat a minnow. Australia struggling to beat minnows. So yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about Nepal versus.
Yeah, let's go into that game. It was an absolute cracker of a game. And here's the thing: South Africa is sitting at 4-0, right? Going into the Super 8s. They won that first game against Sri Lanka. That was an absolute demolition job where Norke on that pitch, Norke was just unplayable, and Sri Lanka were bowled off like 76 or something. It was a sub-100 score. But after that, their next 3 wins have all gone to the last over. Against Netherlands, they scraped, and in the last over, I think Miller took them past. Against Bangladesh, Mahmudullah's that last 18.5 was what helped them. And now the last ball against Nepal. So they have not won convincingly other than that first game. They've struggled against 3 teams and barely made it where there's this joke about 2 guys in Lucknow trying to board a train when it's saying pele up, pele up, pele up, pele up. That's how South Africa has been in this campaign so far.
This is what is going to happen. They're going to next play West Indies. They're going to run into Shimran Hetmeyer. Pele up, pele up, pele up. Ja Shimran, ja train mein
Ooh, well played.
The beauty of this South African campaign is you cannot accuse them of playing very well in the first part of the tournament and then choking in the big game. Like I said, this entire tournament is about them clearing their throat right through. They're like, every match, they're like getting, by the time we get to semifinals, hopefully there will be no gremlins left in the gearbox and we can proceed smoothly. I think that is the idea. That Nepal game was something else, right? I managed to watch the last 3 overs or so. Poor Nepal, I think you could see that, especially when Nokia was bowling at them towards the end, they were outclassed, right? It was very, very tough for them to get bat on ball. But they also realized they had already done all the hard work in the first 80% of the game. They just had to hold their nerve, get a few balls away, and they were going to win it. I think the not having been in the habit of playing and winning against big teams really showed up there. And then that final ball, I think they are never going to forget what happened in that final ball.
So it was a very contrasting game. I'll tell you why. Because a couple of days before, we had the England-Oman game, where Mark Wood and Jofra Archer did an absolute demolition job. It was kind of sad to even watch the way they were bouncing these guys off. The batter was closer to the square leg umpire than he was to the wicket, because they were moving away when Jofra and Mark Wood were hurtling thunderbolts down them. Even after the game, the Oman captain was like, we're not prepared for 150s and 145 pluses, and so that's what is our thing, which is a fair game, fine. England also had to do it because their run rate was in dire state, so we cannot kind of fault them as well. All was fine. The thing with Nepal, and I was expecting the same thing to happen, because I'm like, you have Jansen, you have Rabada, you have Norke, but the fun thing is that all the on-pace balls were being hit. Like Rabada bowled a ball, I think this was like the 14th over or something, and this guy hit him, Asif, I think his name was Asif, hit him outside the park, and they're playing in Kingstown, right? In Kingstown in St. Vincent. So the stadium is right next to the water. The ball went out of the stadium into the water. And this is Kagiso Rabada, like one of the premier fast bowlers in the world. Pace ball, 141 clicks out of the ground. And even Norke, every time they came at Nepal with pace, they were being sent to the boundary with as much pace, which is why the turning point in that game was when Markram said enough is enough, and he took the ball. And whenever the fast bowlers came, whether it was Bartman or anyone, they were just hitting them cleanly. Markram took the thing, and his second ball, I think he got the wicket. That was like the turning point. And after that, in the last 3 overs that you're talking about, right, where Jansen and they were bowling completely off pace. They were bowling slower ones, the short, slow bouncers. They were
short, fast. Yeah. No, they were also bowling fast bouncers, but I think by then your main batsman was out, right, in the penultimate over.
Was gone. Yeah. And but even there, like they had Keshav for the last over. There was no way he was going to do that as well, because he bowled 2 rank full tosses for the Bangladesh
Against
game.
Bangladesh also.
Yeah, so
Was there any change in fortunes after they changed the ball when it went into the ocean, or it didn't really make a difference?
I think that's when Markram took the ball. That after that over is when Markram bowled. So we can't tell, but it was a change of pace which changed it for them.
It was a sea change in fortunes.
Thanks.
Could you,
I just
Matt,
left
could you
that
please,
dangling there. Finally, you took it.
yeah.
Well done, Nitin.
Could you please watch a few videos of Harsha Bugle? Pronounce these names.
No.
properly. Not.
Ahiza.
Yeah, exactly.
Ahiza. Tabre Shamsi.
Shamsi had a wonderful game. But yeah, so they've done, I think it looks like they've done the choke before they get to the semi-final. But I don't see this team actually doing well.
One person's choke is, they'll say we held our nerve, is what they'll say more.
Possibly. But,
Yeah,
but
so-
I just don't see the structure of the team. As we discussed before, Australia is looking really powerful the way they finished off Scotland today.
There was a wonderful piece that Siddharth Munga wrote about the Bangladesh game as well, which I thought was really good. The stuff that you did not see on TV, right? About how Maharaj ended up bowling those full tosses and why, right? Like, it wasn't obviously intended, but he was speaking about how there was a bit of a wind blowing and how that wind might have resulted in, a ball that was intended to maybe be full ended up becoming a full toss. But that same wind ended up in the shot that was played by Mahmudullah not carrying for 6 and was caught by Aiden Makram on the boundary. And these are small things that you get only if you watch a match sitting in the stadium, I guess. But yeah.
This crosswind and breeze seems to be a recurring theme, because even in today's game, the Australia-Scotland game, there was a lot of reference about it. I mean, I've not heard this as much in other grounds, or at least not heard it recently where it's such a big factor. So
Except for Chepauk, where the sea breeze comes in through the gaps between the stands.
No, but it is the same, right? It is the same. It is the sea breeze, because these grounds are right next to the beach.
Yes,
and
plus.
so it is the sea breeze that's coming in.
And of course, the Fremantle doctor as well. So finally, we have the Super 8s.
Yeah!
I don't know how the Super 8s are constructed. So maybe we need to deconstruct this.
A2, B1, C1, D2.
Okay, wait.
I don't think those matter. Those don't matter. That's only for like...
Nothing matters. Now obviously nothing matters because the games are over. The games are over. Nothing matters now. We just have to say which are the 4 teams in each group. That's all we need to do. So there are apparently 4 more games. We are recording this on 16th of June, India time, about 5:30 p.m. Right? Screw other time zones. We are almost done with the group stages, but there are still 4 matches left in the group stages. Most of them are inconsequential matches, right? I think Pakistan are playing Ireland in some time. Both have been eliminated. West Indies are playing Afghanistan in a couple of days. Again, both of them are through. And like we just explained, it doesn't matter where they finish. Their slots are already decided for the seeded teams, right? So we already know who are going to make it to the Super 8s, except for one potential possibility is that Bangladesh lose by like 300 runs or something, and Nepal wins their remaining game by, again, 300 runs. That's a huge net run rate cliff to climb, which is not going to happen. So we actually know who are the 4 teams or the 8 teams.
That also cannot happen.
I need to talk about this. I need to say about this. This huge net run rate cliff to climb, right? Today, the number of times the commentators are referring to the Everest that Nepal had to climb.
Everest cliches went to base camp and died a quiet death during Nepal's unfortunate defeat to South Africa of the last ball. The person who got run out of the last ball, his name is Gulshan Jha. उसका नाम में ही जा है, वो तो जा नहीं रहे. He stops in the middle of the pitch and he gets run out. It is such a travesty. He got outclassed by Heinrich Klaassen. But that's how it works. But we know that India, Australia, Bangladesh and Afghanistan are going to be in one group. So these 4 teams will play against each other. West Indies, England, South Africa, and this is where I trip up. What is the 4th team in the other group, guys?
USA.
USA, of course, correct. Yeah, USA. So, but that group is now going to be the group of death, right? You'd probably think USA's luck is going to catch up with them now, and they're not luck. I mean, they're probably going to get outclassed. But the other 3 teams, West Indies, England, and South Africa, are all potential contenders for the 2 remaining slots.
Hang on, the first group is not that easy.
Actually, you're right. The other group also is India, Afghanistan, Australia, Bangladesh. We're in for a lot of fun actually in the rest of this tournament.
And I seriously think that you can't assume that it's going to be Australia-India or
I'm not
Afghanistan,
assuming.
is it? Okay, good. So what are you implying then, that this is not a group of death? What is your
I didn't say
assumption?
that. I said the other group is a group of death. I didn't say this group is not a group of death. You die
So
here
what is
also.
this
You
group?
die, you
What
die
is-
in both groups.
He is not saying it's not the group of death. He's saying if it's a group of death, it's nice.
I want to clarify with you guys. Are there any more games in America, or are we done with this godforsaken country?
I think it's all West Indies now.
Yeah,
It's all West Indies from here, so we are in for just amazing cricket all the way in, guys. Yes, Bridgetown, North Sound, Gross Islet, and these are the venues for the remaining games. So we are, it's all systems go for a wonderful second half of this tournament.
North Sound, Bridgetown, Gross Islet, and
Isleta! That's islet.
like that only will talk, man. Your problem means you go to other podcast.
Other podcast.
There
No,
is this useless rival podcast, which guys have been traveling to the US and talking to fans on the streets and all that. You can go and put appearance there if you want.
I think there's one more game in the US in the remaining.
Yeah, but that's not in the Super 8s. It's before the Super 8s.
yeah.
I think the remaining games should all be scheduled in the US, because now we know the Super 8 teams. It should just rain for 3 days, give all the teams adequate rest, and then take them to West Indies. That would be my humble
Pakistan,
suggestion.
unfortunately, has to play that last game after being knocked out.
Exactly. It's much better for that game to get rained out, right? Both for Ireland and Pakistan. So for their sake, that match is scheduled for today. Hopefully, by the time you listen to it, that game would have been rained out. It's going to happen in Lauderhill. So yeah, I think odds on it's going to get rained out in Florida.
But talking about that, I think this is a good thing for Pakistan. This what has happened now is a really good thing for Pakistan. Unfortunately,
But what is happened?
this hasn't happened for India yet. But being knocked out and being
what are you
outclassed.
saying? Oh, you being knocked out is good. Why is
Yeah.
it good?
India got knocked out of 2021 T20 World Cup. What? Nothing changed. Same team is only playing.
We didn't
Exact
do
same team is playing this one.
We didn't do anything, right?
Exactly. Inch for inch, it is the same team. In Ishan Kishan is not there. KL Rahul is not there. Otherwise, it is the same team, line by
And
line.
DK is not there.
No, I'm talking. Hey, I corrected you on a previous podcast for the same
DK
mistake.
was
Again,
in
he's telling DK.
Australia.
DK did not play the Dubai World Cup. No.
2022.
Yeah.
Not 20.
This is Dubai World Cup. They had Varun C.
21.
Varun C made the trip.
Varun Chakiata, correct. You're right.
And also,
Yeah,
they picked
nothing
up coach
changed.
Gary Kirsten, who will obviously not rock the boat. So he'll be stuck with legacy issues till his term comes to an end, unless they brought him in thinking he can change things.
But
See,
they
the
brought
thing-
him in 2
mistake
weeks
that-
before the tournament, right? 12 days or
Correct.
something before the tournament he come in. You cannot make any major
No, but
things.
up onwards, now that they're knocked out, like, can he do something for?
But if they if they
Champions
can do a reset of their team, because they've now hit rock bottom, and if they lost to just India and say, okay, we lost to India, it was fine. That's what I'm saying. It's a good thing, because then hopefully now they will, this whole Babar, Rizwan, or you guys go play this. You guys play 50 overs if you want, or play
Correct.
red ball, and then we'll get these other guys
Who?
in, and Ishanullah and all these others can probably play. For
They'll get the same guys only, same Ayub, same guy only. Like, no difference. Same team only will play. They don't
Same
have
was
depth
actually a
of that.
decent batter, dude. Same.
So there
Everyone
was
decent.
there was-
Everybody is decent
there was
only,
this-
but they're not great. Yeah.
There
No,
was
but
this
if
video
the
that went
cards-
viral. There was this video that went viral. Wasim Akram was absolutely just
Yeah.
spitting chips at this entire team. Star Sports, yeah, he went absolutely nuts. And I've seen Wasim Akram get angry on the national team, but not this bad. He was just absolutely smashing into them. And he mentioned people by name, Rizwan, Babar, and all that sort of stuff. And he said, chuck everyone out, clean the entire team, and then start with a fresh bunch of players. As if that's going to fix the problem.
It's
not
going to
gonna
be
fix
difficult more, because they have the Champions Trophy at home next year. Now, how
It
much
doesn't
of
matter,
change
but
are they
that's,
making?
but that's the point, right? That's not the solution to this kind of a problem. The problem is not about quality of people or the quality of the personnel or the quality of the resources that you have. It's just the way that they're playing together. It's just not gelling. Something's not working, and you probably just need a change of leadership or something like that to make that happen.
They changed the
that
leadership,
context-
but then they changed it back again.
I know.
Right. Because they had Shaheen Afridi after the T20 World Cup, and then after the PSL, I don't know what happened in the PSL, something, and then after the PSL they said, no, Babar, again, you can take the captaincy.
In that context, you want to talk about some leadership issues and personnel issues. What has happened with the Indian cricket team as well? In that context, you want to talk about some leadership issues and personnel issues. What has happened with the Indian cricket team as well?
Yeah,
Shubman Gill controversy.
What is side business? I thought side business is what Nitin Sundar does playing frisbee when he's not making
my
podcasts.
main business.
Posting thirst traps.
So the controversy was that Shubman Gill has been asked to go back home along with Avesh Khan after the USA leg of the tournament. And the speculation was that this was because of disciplinary issues and what else? He was not giving respect to Rohit Sharma or something, right?
No.
Well,
Disciplinary issues and side business.
Side business.
No, there was a third thing. This is very, very crucial fact in this entire process. Shubman Gill has unfollowed Rohit Sharma on Instagram. That's
Instagram. Correct.
Because
it's a big deal.
Everything stems from who follows whom on Instagram. Otherwise,
Correct.
Is he on the WhatsApp group still?
We can add him to our WhatsApp group if you want.
Exactly. Come
Shubman
on.
Gill. Latest development in this matter is that Shubman Gill has quashed all rumors by posting a story of him posing with Rohit Sharma and somebody else called Sammy. Not Darren Sammy though, but in a happy sort of environment. So basically saying that there is no love lost, or rather there is no bad blood between him and Rohit Sharma. So yeah, we unfortunately don't have a rumor to go after here.
that was just a distraction. Complete distraction.
It was a palate cleanser.
Palate cleanser. I mean, you're playing a World Cup, right? You're having the world's media there. You have media from all countries, and when you make a press announcement like this, like, what is this absolute garbage reportage you're giving where you're telling, yeah, we're going to give you a piece of information, but we won't tell you anything else. Bye. Fuck off.
No, but this was some random website, right?
No, but he has been let go as official only. He's been
I think this was already, I don't even think they got him West Indies visa. Like the person in charge of this would have been like, hey, there's some 7 countries are there, every country and all we cannot do. US will take them, ES full sightseeing for Avesh Khan and Shubman Gill. By then we will know what our team composition is. After that, they can quietly come back home. I think this was always the plan. So the moment they came back, when new stories have started around this. And
so the only people that are left, apart from the 15, are Rinku Singh and who's the other one that's still
Sanju
over
Samson.
there?
No, Sanju is part of the squad.
Isn't the 15?
Sanju's in the squad. Yeah. Actually, India had another plan. The reason now it all makes sense. They wanted Shubman Gill to stay around only during the first part of the tournament because they expected that in the second half of the tournament, in case they need any rolling substitutes, they can get their H1B visa players, which is Saurabh Netravalkar and all the other USA players. India did not know that USA has Galaxy Brain plan to get into the Super 8s. So now actually India are in a bit of trouble. They actually don't have travelling substitutes. And it's going to be funny.
Rinku and Khalil still stay, but Avesh and Shubman are on their way home. So that's why it doesn't make sense.
See, Shubman was never going to get a game.
Yeah, he was not, neither of the 4 expect to play. I don't expect either.
Even SSV is not going to get a game. Right?
He's probably an outside chance, Yashasvi, just because left-hander.
Exactly. No, see, if there is an injury to Kohli or to this guy Rohit Sharma, then 100% Gill is going to get into the 11. Sorry, Jaiswal is going to get into the 11. For Gill to get into the 11, Yashasvi Jaiswal himself also has to get injured. That is obviously not going to happen, right? You have enough anchors there that there is enough redundancy amongst the existing anchors itself. You don't need more. Rinku Singh, on the other hand, is interesting because if Shivam Dubey always looks like at any point in time he can stop figuring out which end of the bat to hold.
Shivam will play in the West Indies of a spinner.
This team cannot be changed. This 11 will
so
not
when
be
does Kuldeep come in then? At all? Doesn't.
I mean, the only option is to have Kuldeep or Deep for deep substitute, as Tony has said.
Which I think will happen. On a turning pitch, I see India going in with 2 fast bowlers, Dubey and Hardik Pandya as the seam bowling options, and play Kuldeep Yadav and 2 spinners. It's very possible.
There's been one game which the Australia-England game which was close to a 200, and then last night we had a 180 game. But otherwise, we've not seen scores at that level at all. Which is why I think the 160 is the perfect Virat Kohli zone. The 160 game is a perfect Virat Kohli game. They can go back to SSV. Virat comes at 1 down, and then he takes that chase through because these pitches are perfect for the Virat chase.
Yeah, but who will you replace in the current team?
Shivam
The
Dubey.
structure doesn't
Shivam Dubey.
allow it. Any time Hardik can fall apart, you need that insurance of Dubey.
Then
Hardik can
it
fall
will be
apart
like
at
for
any
like.
point in time.
Hardik goes up, then Dubai will come like for like.
Actually, it is more like dislike for dislike because nobody likes either of those two players. That is what it will be. Why are we discussing Indian team? Most boring team in the Super 8. Bloody Arshdeep Singh has been bowling Archama Arshdeep Singh. Useless team. West Indies is so exciting to watch. Australia look bloody out of nowhere when Marcus Stoinis will come and win games for you. Travis Head is clicking into form. South Africa, bloody box office. They won 4 out of 4. And you don't know where they are going to fall apart and break down, but somehow they are through. India is the most boring team in the Super 8.
England is also box office, guys. England is also box
England
office.
also. England and South Africa have made this World Cup exciting. Must be
England is
said.
absolute
Yes.
box office. I have never been so overjoyed that when a game is getting rained out. And on Twitter, everyone from the English media is going crazy over this. They shouldn't be playing in the West Indies. This is the wrong season to play in West Indies. You should have checked the planetary and the geography and all of this to play in West Indies. And then finally they have a game. And once they have a game, everyone is gone, yeah, T10 baby. Harry Brook is going to show them. It was hilarious.
No, and Cricket Scotland put out a wonderful tweet as well, right? Because Scotland were playing Australia later. And they're like, what a wonderful day for cricket. It's beautiful weather wherever they were playing. For a brief moment, things look so nice.
And
Looked like
Scotland
England were good.
thoroughly enjoyed, right? Scotland has thoroughly enjoyed this entire week because they're the ones who even put out a thing saying it'll be nice if David Warner opens the bowling. After Hazelwood implied that, they may go easy on Scotland, they said, oh, David Warner can open. And then England media loses it completely. They go, oh, they cannot do that. This is again the spirit of the game. ICC rule number 11.36.
This is when I would like to paraphrase a recent philosopher, Marcus Harris, who said, "You idiots only made the rules, right?"
Australia continued to shitpost, right? They dropped like 6 catches, probably not on purpose. They tried their best. They needed 80 of 30 odd balls at one stage. They needed it, or what, 70 of 30 balls or something. And then from there, Tim David and Marcus Stoinis managed to take them home. It was
Travis Head before that.
Travis Head clicking into form, of course. And
so Warner has clicked, Travis Head has clicked. Mitch Marsh still hasn't shown up, but Maxwell has shown up with the ball, and now you have Hulk. Then with the ball you have Stark and Hazelwood and Zampa has been absolutely magical. So
I think the only saving grace is that Pat Cummins is not making the final 11. So that gives you some hope. Like seeing him again in a final alongside Travis Head might give teams the jeepers. But it's going to happen. Australia are going to play the final of this World Cup as well.
Inconsequential game, they said, sir, you please bring drinks.
Drinks.
In the final, you will show up. And Afghanistan gets one more crack at Australia to see who makes the final 4. So that should be good. Hopefully India don't screw up in the West Indies. We'll see what happens there.
Before we close, quickly tell who are your semi-final picks, and please give logically consistent picks. Don't pick 3 people from one group, please. Starting with. Then what? You'll give me semi-finals that cannot happen. Yeah, tell correctly.
I'll go for the final itself. West Indies Afghanistan. I'm sticking with that from the beginning. I've been saying West Indies Afghanistan final, right? And then if you want to put 2 other teams to make up a semi-final thing, so it's West Indies Afghanistan. And I would say perhaps England and Australia. But my final is West Indies versus Afghanistan.
All right.
And I'm padding it up with Australia and England.
Adi, tell us.
West Indies, England, India, Australia. Very predictable. But yeah.
Same.
West Indies. I'll go for West Indies, South Africa, Australia and Afghanistan.
Nice. I like that too.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Australia seems to be there in all 3, in all of these. India is only a 50-50 chance, looks like, by the way of it. But, this is a complete NRI podcast. Just realized
it is basically a tribute to Saurabh Netravalkar, who is the father of this episode of this podcast. The funniest meme that came out of his exploits was that photo of him sitting on a Moda or something with a laptop on his lap on the outfield, and people are like, "Oh, he's now extending his out of office because USA have made it through to the Super 8s." For me, that was the best tweet to come out of this week. But yeah, oh, there was this other meme also, right? There was this thing. Apparently, an American presenter is reading out the list of names of the USA team.
It's like you gave me the Indian list.
You gave me the Indian team list. Nitish Kumar. You gave me the Indian team list. No, it's not. It's the American list.
And then finally, there's a Jones and a Taylor, and then he's like, okay, fine. Saurabh Netravalkar, if you're listening to this podcast, you can come on to our next episode, and we will talk about the USA game. At least,
despite our priorly advertised opinions on cricketers, who are supposedly well educated, we do have a soft spot for you. So you can definitely come and join our podcast, Mr. Saurabh Netravalkar. Yes.
With your lanyard.
Yeah, bring your lanyard.
Okay.
On that note, this is the Bits and Pieces podcast. You're listening to episode 128. We have myself, Adi, Nitin, and Mo Hank with us here. Thank you for listening. Give us a share on Instagram and YouTube and Spotify and X. Requote it, repost it, do whatever you can. Spread the word around. Leave us a comment. Give us 5 stars.
Also, add a link to this podcast in your out of office email, much like Saurabh Netravalkar. Yeah, please.
Yes.
And share all your WhatsApp groups.
Saurabh Netravalkar, please add this podcast to your LinkedIn profile if you want.
One last request. One last request. Would pod members also listen to the podcast?
Yes. We will also share this podcast in our own WhatsApp group so that people like Adi can listen to it and don't ask rhetorical questions in episode 129. This is episode 128, signing off, and we'll see you next week. We'll have some games in the Super 8s to talk about, and let's see what happens by then.
Thanks, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.